All right, hello everyone. This is Coach Jim, and hopefully you are here for our IG Live today, which is going to be back to school, talking through workout and nutrition habits that will help you even during these busy and crazy times. So as we get everything set up, I see a couple of people coming in already. As we get set on up, you can download the free PDF that we have in the video description. Let me pull up my co-host real quick as well too. Hi Sophia, how's it going? All right. Let me know if the audio is sounding good as well too. And we're gonna be, here we go. Fantastic.
Flip that around.
I love it. No, it's good. It shows that you're qualified to talk about the topic at hand, right? Right, Coach Matt?
Yeah. Now we're staying in a hotel for the day. So,
Fancy.
Kathleen took two of the kids out to the park during our Instagram live call here.
So get out of here for half an hour so we can talk on the IG Live.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, just again, welcoming everyone as everyone's shuffling in and we're getting settled. Hopefully you're here for the back to school workout and nutrition tactics that will help you during this chaotic time of year. We hear this time and time again from clients. If you haven't already downloaded the PDF, it is in the video description right now for the movement snacks that we're going to be talking about a little bit later in the half hour. We're going to try to keep things to about half an hour. As everyone's shuffling in as well too, I would love to hear where everyone is coming in from. And because we're talking about school, what was your favorite lunchbox as a kid? For me, it was Transformers. Matt, did you have a favorite lunchbox that you always carried to school?
So I don't know if I have a favorite one that sticks out, but in kindergarten, I met the person who would become like my best friend in elementary school. Him and his family had just moved into our district, and he was new to school. I hadn't met him, and we had both the same lunchbox and backpack.
Wow.
So one day after school, probably like the first week or so, we accidentally went home with each other's backpacks and lunchboxes, and then our moms had to coordinate the exchange and the swap, and that was like how we became friends. So they were Ninja Turtles, both of them, lunchbox and backpack. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's another good lunchbox that I saw all the time for sure. So cool. So again, we'll get started up, and again, we'll be going over a lot of different tactics and techniques in order to be able to just survive and keep things going through this time of year. So jumping right into it. The first thing that we recommend and we hear from, actually, scratch it. Let's take 3 steps back. We'll introduce ourselves if people aren't familiar. My name is Coach Jim. I have been working for Nerd Fitness for over 6 years now. Started the coaching program, and now, of course, I'm doing a lot more of these live events, webinars, and IG Live things. Just having a great time. I love Nerd Fitness. I love the community here, and I love connecting with all of you right now. Coach Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about your Nerd Fitness history and again, why you're qualified to talk?
So Coach Matt, I've been working with Nerd Fitness as a coach for a little over probably like 4.5 years now. Yeah. And obviously do a lot of social media and Instagram, YouTube type stuff as well. And I think what Coach Jim thought I was particularly qualified for this is we have a family of 7, so 5 kids. And this is the first year where all of them will be in school because our youngest is going to start like nursery school 3 days a week. So we'd have 2 going into 5th grade, a daughter going into 3rd grade, 1 going into 1st grade, and 1 going into nursery school.
I am tired just hearing that. Well, of course, like I said, you are very, very well qualified to talk about this and again help everyone who's watching this through these crazy times. And honestly, even if you aren't sending kids to school, if you are ever busy at any given time, you're probably going to pull something helpful and useful out of this IG Live. So stick around.
And I feel like even if you're not, you don't have kids going back to school, it sort of feels like fall is always sort of this, at least in North America where we live, it's always this sort of transitory time, this transitional period where you're going from like summer mode to, okay, back to business, back to routines. So even if you don't have kids, I feel like this is a time where those sort of transitions are still happening.
Absolutely. Great point on that one. And as over the next half hour, as we go through things, we'll be watching the chat as much as we can, but things go by quickly. So if you do have a question, there is a spot in the bottom of your screen that you can enter in a question. We will be covering those at the end of the half hour, just going through as many as we can. So again, we'll try to get as many as we can, but it is a little crazy with the 1,000 things on our screen. All right, jumping into it though, one of the first things that we tell clients, we tell people, our community, in terms of this crazy time, this transitionary time, is to scale things back. And that's totally fine. So if you were working out for an hour during the summer, maybe during this crazy time, it's half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it might be. And that's totally fine to be able to adjust your workout, your nutrition, all your different stress management techniques, so you don't just go crazy, because you have so many new things on the plate. Matt, any thoughts on that one in terms of just scaling back?
Yeah, I mean, like giving yourself the grace and the recognition that you're suddenly adding a whole bunch of things to your schedule, and that might be new morning routine. Whereas if kids are used to sleeping in, or maybe if you work from home also and kids are home, like you're used to sleeping in a little bit more, and now you have to get them ready and out the door to be on the bus or driving to school or whatever the case may be. So even just that period can be hectic, let alone everything that could go on after school, whether it be, just getting them back into homework routine, getting them into after school activities, trying to balance now leaving work, picking up the kids, still trying to put dinner on the table, like all those things. So yeah, scaling things back and recognizing that, hey, we're going to be adding a lot of things right now. So it might not be realistic to maintain everything that you've been doing. If you've been doing a lot over the summer in terms of like your wellness, you might need an adjustment period to figure out how all of those things are going to fit into your new routine and new schedule.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. Give yourself the grace, give yourself that self-compassion, because again, it is challenging. And one of our other coaches, Chris, I think he said something like, it is familiar, but still new routines. So if you've had a child that's gone into school multiple times, things are still different every single year, of course.
Yeah.
So how have you felt that has kind of changed your routine over the years?
Yeah, I think you almost forget when school is starting up. You're like, oh yeah, this is what it was like. So there's definitely a week or two where I feel like your brain needs time to catch up and refamiliarize yourself with the whole routine. And yeah, things are going to be different. Teacher assignments are going to be different. Maybe schooling, just scheduling is different. Maybe there's different after school activities. So all of those variables come into play, but I think your brain needs a little bit of time to process, like, okay, I remember how we used to do this, and this is what worked, and oh yeah, this totally didn't work when we did it last year, and kind of affirming those things.
Yeah, the reacclimation period. I think it's kind of funny you say though that you forget about it. You're like, oh yeah, I blocked this from my memory because it was so crazy. But,
yeah, I mean, personally for us, right? Normally during the school year, we try to make sure that we're eating dinner at 6 or in that neighborhood. And the summer, we maybe get a little bit lax with that. If we eat at 6:30, if we eat at 7, it's not as big of a deal. Bedtimes don't have to be as firm. If we read books a little bit later, it's not as, the consequences aren't the same because, the kids can sleep in a little bit more. So, being a little bit more, I don't know if rigid is the right word, but, trying to reaffirm, like, okay, let's make the intention, make the effort to make sure we're eating at the time that we know is going to be beneficial so that we can get everyone's bedtime routines and all that stuff together.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely cycle back to the talk about nutrition schedule and sleep time schedule, kind of covering workouts a little bit more. So, we're talking about backing down on things like, okay, maybe not quite so much, than you did during the summer. Why wouldn't you want to just say, oh, forget it, I'm just going to put workouts on hold and then I'll pick it up when I'm not busy? What would be the problem with that, Matt?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, I always like to use Newton's law, second law. I think it's second law of thermodynamics of object in motion stays in motion, object at rest stays at rest.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as no 2 in a row, right? Like once we have that 2 in a row where we took it off, it becomes so much harder to pick that back up, especially as, we're talking about things getting a little bit more hectic. So if you put it off to the side for this week or the next 2 weeks, then 3 weeks down the road, it's easier to rationalize, like, I don't need to do it today. Or it becomes harder to start doing it today. Yeah. So we find ways to continue that habit and continue that practice, and making sure it fits in what we're doing now. I know we've talked about movement snacks. One strategy that I found has worked really well for me over the last few weeks, and with other parents that I've been coaching, especially with young kids, is doing a 10-minute AMRAP, which is as many rounds as possible. For me, I'll pick like 3 exercises, and a combo that's worked really well for me is like push-ups, kettlebell swings, and pull-ups. And if you're doing those and you are just cranking through 10 minutes, like you will feel that.
Yeah.
So
no, what's the rationale behind picking those 3 exercises in particular?
Yeah, for me, it gets total body. It's balanced for me, right? Like, so it's an upper body push, an upper body pull, and a lower body pull. So you could put in, if you wanted, like goblet squats or body weight squats in lieu of kettlebell swings. I personally like kettlebell swings because we get that lower body hip extension movement, and also there's a little bit more cardiovascular value to them too.
Yeah.
So if you're cycling those through 3 big muscle group compound movement type exercises, there's a lot of bang for your buck in all 3 of those.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And to kind of our point, like Matt, obviously your normal routine during the summer might have been a half an hour long, and now it's 10 minutes, and since it's compressed. There's some other somebody can comment in the is it Bernoulli's principle, where you compress something and the temperature goes up or whatever, the intensity goes up? I'm losing the point. But the point is you're doing something really intense because it's a shorter period of time. And exactly like you said, it is a push, it's a pull, it's a lower body, it's a total body thing all at once for those 10 minutes, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, scaling things back is great. But maybe sometimes we can't even get a that full body workout in all in one go like that. So that's when we can also use the tactic of breaking things up throughout the course of the day. So we were talking actually on a webinar the other week, and we were talking and telling people like, hey, you know what? If you can't get in a half an hour walk, maybe you used to walk half an hour, maybe you're getting in several 10-minute walks throughout the day. Or again, if you can't get a full workout, or you can't even get a 10-minute workout, then this is where the concept of movement snacks comes in. And if you haven't already, again, it's in the video description, also at nerdfitness.com/movement snack. You can download a free PDF. You can print it out if you want. I printed it out just for a prop, but it's also editable on your computer. And what you can do with that, with the movement snacks, is instead of having that full meal of a 10-minute workout, a 30-minute workout, you can snack on exercises and movements throughout the day. So I know me personally, when I'm like really busy and crazy, classic one for me is just doing push-ups on the countertop as I'm like waiting for something to microwave, or I'm doing a couple squats when I'm waiting for a phone call or whatever it might be. Matt, is there anything that you do in terms of those movement snacks that you found really helpful?
Yeah, I think one that's coming to mind recently is, even if I'm at my desk, like calf raises. I know it's not a huge like muscle group thing, but if you're standing there anyway, you can do a few calf raises, and just gets you moving while you're doing whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Planking is another one too that you can do. Or if you're walking up and down steps, if maybe you're doing you're carrying up laundry, or you're doing some other errand in the house, that can be something else. Maybe you take like an extra step and kind of do a little bit of a mini lunge. But again, the whole point is it's not necessarily like, okay, I have this 10-minute block I'm doing for a workout, but it's more like I'm just taking little bites here and there, taking little snacks throughout the day. And they do add up. I think a lot of times when we propose this movement snacks tactic, people think like, well, that's just like a push-up or 2 here. That's just a squat or 2 here. Does it really add up? And the best analogy I can use, or the best comparison I can use, is when you are like eating a little bit off of like a toddler's plate, or finishing up their food, like that food throughout the day adds up. Yeah. So the exercise adds up as well too. So it's a funny challenge that we hear people have with nutrition when they have young ones, but the same sort of thing applies for getting in the exercise. Of all those little bits throughout the day definitely add up.
And I think tying a movement to certain things can also be helpful, like things that you already do. So I've had clients where they want to increase their mobility in terms of like having a deep squat. So maybe we sit in a deep squat, or like a fisherman squat, like a half kneeling squat, while they fold laundry. So if they're already folding laundry, then you're getting in some movement in that way as well.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah, linking the things, like linking the movement snacks to a habit already. Bathroom breaks are another great one. So, you come out of the bathroom and I've got a chin-up bar right by my restroom, and I can just do a chin-up or two. Or again, whatever you're doing. Maybe you're doing a doorway row if that's where you're at, or you're doing a squat or a stretch. I mean, we're talking about exercise, but it can even be stretching or static holds as well too. So on the
and you mentioned that like the pull-up bar. If you're somebody who has a pull-up bar in the house, it could be, if you have it in an area that you're going, like a high traffic area, it's just, maybe hang on the bar for 5 or 10 seconds whenever you pass it.
That's a great one. Just kind of, open things up and make things feel much better. On the movement snack sheet, just to pull the sheet up again, we've got 5 different rows here, and you can put 5 different exercises that might work well for you. You're like thinking throughout the day, you're like, yeah, you know what, I can maybe do a squat, or I could do a push-up or elevated push-up or whatever it might be, and put it on your sheet. And then I was joking, you can hang it up next to your kid's artwork on the refrigerator so you can always see it. But as you're thinking about, the 1, 2, 5 exercises that you put on your movement snack sheet, think back to what Coach Matt just said about his own 10-minute routine. It got everything kind of working. So as you're looking at your movement snacks, do I have a push? Do I have a pull? Do I have a lower body? If you have at least those 3, you're going to be getting a total body workout and total body exercise in throughout the day, throughout the week. And that's, again, really the benefit of having those little snacks, is you can cover everything if you really think about it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways. I think that, do I have a push, do I have a pull, lower body? Another way you can think about it is like upper, middle, lower. So if you wanted to have, a push-up, a plank, or some sort of core movement, and then a lower body too. I think those
Absolutely,
are 2 pretty good ways to make sure your bases are covered.
Absolutely. And I would love to hear in the chat right now, as we're kind of moving to the next section, what are some of the exercises that you're thinking right now off the top of your head? Like, we're talking about these movement snacks. What immediately comes to mind? Like, yeah, I can do this. Throw it in the chat. It can give some other people some ideas if they're stuck for ideas. So we would love to see that as we kind of go on through.
I'd also say sometimes, depending on when people are doing this, but even something like sun salutations, 2 or 3 in the morning, or as a way to break up, something that you're doing at your desk. Those have gone over really, really well too for clients in the past.
Fantastic. Jason says squats holding my cat. I love it. Again, a lot of different things you can do, whether it's a static holder movement or, again, a sun salutation, a stretch is great. The hanging from the bar is a fantastic one because, again, it really does decompress a lot of things there. Kel says countertop push-ups while you're cooking. Exactly. I use that all the time. Or I'll hold on to the countertop as well too and do some squats or some assisted lunges. So a lot of different things that you can definitely pick, and I love all the different ideas coming in. So so we've talked a lot about the movements and the workouts, scaling things back, but still getting total body in, movement snacks, breaking up throughout the day, but still looking to get total body in. Now, switching gears over to nutrition. So we've already talked a little bit about setting the schedule as well too, but how about just like getting the food on the table and getting the food together? What are some strategies that you've used yourself to make sure that you're not just eating crackers in the back of the cabinet or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I think being intentional is super, super important. Anytime you go into a schedule where you think it's going to be hectic, I think it's important in general, but I think it becomes more important when there's a lot of other variables that are tough to control for. So for us, things that we've done in the past is a lot of times we'll have a family meeting on a Sunday and kind of set the tone for the week. Like, hey, like my wife has one of those big magnet calendars that she, like a dry erase calendar. And she's like, hey, so-and-so has a doctor's appointment Tuesday. We have lacrosse practice Thursday, whatever. So that everybody kind of knows what's going on. But we also give the kids a chance to throw out like dinner ideas for the week. For them, they feel like they have some autonomy in what we're having for dinner. And that way, when someone complains that we're having chili, we can remind them that we had tacos, which was their favorite dinner earlier in the week, or later in the week. So I think that's really, really helpful. And then a lot of times when I talk about planning dinners, sometimes people think that it automatically means prepping dinners, which isn't necessarily the case. If you're a meal prepper and you can feel like, hey, you can get like a whole bunch of dinners done on Sunday, that's awesome. We've found that doesn't always work for us because we want to use Sunday to be doing other things outside of like prepping and cooking. So the act of planning like, hey, Monday we're going to have this, Tuesday we're going to have this. That just allows us to make sure that we have the groceries that we need to make those dinners. And if we know, hey, Wednesday is going to be a really busy day, let's have like a slow cooker meal, or let's do a sheet pan meal, and something that's going to be a little bit more simple in terms of a time demand than on a day where maybe nobody has anything after school, and it's kind of more of a relaxed weekday.
Yeah, that's I really like that you laid out the difference between prepping and planning, because they are two different things, but still very helpful. So if you've been, we'll say bulk cook, we'll say meal prep all the time, and we have a lot of great resources for that. I'll share some in the chat after the live is over. But if you've always tried to do that and it's never worked, then yeah, maybe just planning, maybe just like Coach Matt says, making the intention is still going to help, and it's still going to be better than just kind of having no plan whatsoever. I heard, I think I saw someone in the chat said that they were dealing with picky eaters. Are any of your kids picky eaters at all in any way, shape, or form? I guess you kind of talked a little bit about
yeah, for sure. So we have, our oldest kids are twins, and one of the twins, almost his whole life, has never really been much of a meat eater. And we've never like forced that on him or anything like that. So the only meat products he thoroughly enjoys are like bacon and hot dogs. So we yeah, exactly. So we might introduce things that are kind of in that family. Like if we're having breakfast for dinner, and obviously he's gonna enjoy pancakes. I've gotten like the Applegate Farms breakfast sausages, whether those be like turkey sausages and like that. So there are things that he's more open to, and we'll offer the option. So we're never like, hey, try this. But like if he seems curious, like, hey, what's that taste like? We'll say, hey, do you want to try it? Like you don't have to. And so most of the things he's like, no, I don't like it. But occasionally he'll be like, oh yeah, that was good. So yeah. In terms of like veggies and stuff though, we our kids have a few veggies that we know they'll like definitely eat. So regardless of what we're having, say we're having like honey sriracha Brussels sprouts, and that's the vegetable we made that night, there's always a bag of baby carrots on the table. Cool. So that like the kids will always have that as an option. Sometimes we'll have apples. So if they're really giving us a hard time about baby carrots, they can go grab an apple. So generally try to have baby carrots or like a fruit that's available to them that we know they'll like. That's a great idea. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. I'd say one additional thing, and I know this is not for everybody, but we have like a garden in our backyard too, and they are 1,000% more likely to eat any of the vegetables that we grow than like anything else. So like they'll be out there, picking green beans and just eating the green beans raw, or the snap peas or anything like that. But if we buy those things from the store, they're like, it's so interesting. They're like, yeah, not really interested.
Well, first, you need to send me that recipe for the Brussels sprouts, because that sounds amazing. 2, you should just buy a bag of green beans and like tape them up to your plants in the back. Yeah. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Terrible idea. But no, I love that idea in terms of, yes, it can. I think some people feel frustrated if they have picky eaters because they think they have to cook 100 different meals. But Matt, I love your strategy and your tactic there of, hey, you know what? We do have one meal that took some effort, took some labor, but all the backups, a bag of baby carrots is just something you buy. A bowl of apples or whatever you might have is just something you have around. So that can really, I think, take a lot of the stress and the mental bandwidth and load off of people who think they need to make a lot of videos.
One of our daughters, this is not going to be the healthiest thing, and generally I don't like either of these condiments, but my daughter will almost eat any protein as long as she has ketchup and mayo. So like along with the baby carrots, the BJ's or Costco size thing of mayonnaise and ketchup are pretty much at our table. Even if like, oh man, we could make the greatest filet mignon, and she'll be like, oh, where's the mayo? We're like, no, but yeah.
She's still getting food. She's still getting protein.
Yeah, exactly.
I love hearing these stories because it's realistic, you know. It's the realistic things that you encounter, not just oh, we have to eat the same exact meal. No, it just, hey, you know what? Give that room for flexibility and for adaptability, which obviously you do very well with your
Yeah.
family, which sounds
So, I
great.
mean, I think it's still right. Like if you think about Nerd Fitness Healthy Plate, still thinking about trying to cultivate that for your kids in a way that we can meet them where they are, right?
And I'll,
So for my one son who he's not really a big meat eater, right? Still want to make sure he's getting protein. So we try to make sure that there are yogurts available, or we started buying what's the plant-based protein, Orgain, I think.
okay.
Orgain makes little like protein milkshakes for kids. So we're trying to find different ways to supplement those things for him, and then also just making sure like we have fruits and vegetables that we know that they'll eat.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I'll put in the Nerd Fitness Healthy Plate again in the chat afterwards as well too, if anyone is not familiar with it. But yeah, it's just a really easy way to kind of eyeball a plate and say, hey, do we have everything that we need? Protein, carb source, fruits and vegetables, whatever it might be. So rather than trying to count something or weigh and measure something, just again visually eyeball it. So great that again you're able to find different variations and different alternatives for anything to kind of make that plate. So in terms of nutrition as well too, and shifting the dinner time to a specific time so you can kind of get the rest of the night done, has there been anything that's helped you do that, help the family kind of get to an earlier dinner time or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's somewhat like a routine that we've had for a while, and even though we get out of it again in the summertime, it's still somewhat similar.
Mhm.
Like where we live, school starts late. School doesn't start till after Labor Day, so we're not quite in the throes of like fully adjusting and everything like that. So come back to me in a few weeks. But I'm sure, I'm sure like that first couple of weeks, like I said, it'll be that adjustment period that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I think it's remembering like, okay, 5 o'clock, let's start to get our dinner stuff ready to go. Or like, what am I cooking tonight? So do I need to start cooking at 5:30? Do we need to take out meat to defrost? Do we have, everything that we need?
Yeah.
So that, I think that planning ahead of time, like we talked about, so it doesn't get to be 5 o'clock and you're like, oh wait, what are we having for dinner?
Yeah.
Because I've been so focused on everything else that I need to do today.
I think that's great. Now, worst case scenario, everything goes crazy. You didn't take the meat out to defrost. You've got 5 minutes to put something on the table. Is there anything that you turn to? What's your go-to in that situation?
Yeah, I default to eggs. I mean, like it's they're really easy to make like for a lot of people all at once, because you can make scrambled eggs,
Yeah.
and you can make toast or waffles or something else, and we almost always will have like a decent amount of fruit. So if I need to, in case of emergency, break glass and take the dozen eggs out of the refrigerator,
Yeah.
and then butter up some toast, and then put out some berries and cut up some apple slices. At least I still know that, hey, we got a good amount of protein, good healthy
Yeah.
fats. We got something plant based in the fruits, so feel good about that.
Yeah. Two things with eggs, because I eat a billion eggs every week. One, do you ever use the eggs in the carton at all?
I don't, but that's I don't know if this is a TMI. I found that they didn't agree with me too well.
Okay. Yeah. No
But
problem.
I probably overdid them. Like there was a period where I was trying to like go
Drinking
heavy on
them.
protein. Yeah, pretty much. So they got threatened with divorce if I continued.
Gotcha. Okay, so they might not work for everyone, but yeah, I'm thinking like if you need to save even more time, like not even crack eggs, you're just pouring from like a container. We'll do that a lot as well too. So we'll have, as funny as it sounds, we'll have eggs in different forms in our refrigerator, like just regular eggs we can use for a million things, things in cartons. We'll even have some egg whites as well too, because we can mix that up with a bunch of different things. So that could be another really even quicker option as well too. And then just another side with eggs, I find cooking them in a pot rather than a pan to be a lot easier. I think I got that from like Gordon Ramsay, but it's a lot easier to mix and like the curds stay smaller. I don't know. So I have no idea if you've ever done that, but that's another sort of aside, culinary aside, as we're as we're talking about eggs.
I haven't, but I could see that being really helpful for like scrambled eggs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah,
Yeah.
a big pan, they would always like stick to the bottom, and it'd be hard to turn. Whereas in the pot, you can stir them a lot quicker with a spatula. So I really appreciate that. In terms of quick meals for me, just when things go crazy and whatnot, if I can swing by the grocery store, rotisserie chicken, I think is just the best thing in the world to be able to grab last minute. Rotisserie chicken, microwave rice, and a bag salad. That will put together your protein, your carb, and your fruits, veggies on your plate, and everything. Chicken's already done. The microwave rice takes 90 seconds, and the bag salad you can literally be putting together as you're doing that. So for me,
Yeah.
that becomes one of my quick, like I have zero time to put a meal on the table for me. So do you ever use
I
anything like
will,
that as well too?
for sure, definitely use rotisserie chicken and bag salads. Microwave rice a little bit, but probably less so. I'll also say just, to be upfront and realistic, sometimes there are times where, we default to, it's probably more so if we're a little bit behind, maybe my wife and I have decided that, hey, we'll just have dinner us tonight because we've got too much stuff going on but we have to give the kids dinner. Then we still default to, or not default, but occasionally we'll still use, frozen stuff like, pizza bagels, chicken nuggets, but then still also trying to make sure that we have, baby carrots and apple slices around. And then our one non meat eater son has, like, we almost always have avocado on hand for him as well.
Okay.
Not that it's protein supplement swap, but it's something that we can know for him can be pretty calorically heavy, and he's really started to enjoy avocado toast with that little everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's. Oh man,
that is phenomenal.
He's been going through that.
Yeah. You and me both. It's fantastic. We got a Trader
Yeah.
Joe's coming in up the street in like a month or two, and I like my wife and I are so excited.
Yeah.
But no, I love what you're talking about in terms of things are crazy, and okay, maybe I don't even have time to cook something, but here's something frozen, and pizza bagels or chicken nuggets. Like, it might not feel like the healthiest thing or whatever, but again, it gets the kids fed. And you can again kind of jazz it up a little bit, however you can, with whatever fruit or vegetable you have around. And
Yeah.
I think we've seen a lot of our clients do the same thing with maybe they do grab something from the drive-in, maybe they do grab a burger, but then they bring the burger home and they've got again an apple sitting around or whatever it might be. So there can be different ways to still have the intention of I'm going to try to make this a little more aligned with my goals. And not beat yourself up over it, like just because you made pizza bagels for dinner or you stopped at the drive-in for dinner. Again, you're getting through the day, you're getting through the week, and again have that grace and have that self-compassion that we've talked about from the beginning for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think also you can, as a parent, you can be kind of harsh on yourself for like what your kids are eating, but then also, I mean, not that this is the best thing, but like, I don't know what you ate when you were in high school. I would come home from like wrestling practice and just house like Hot Pockets and pizza bagels. So, not that it was the best thing, but and we're still here and we've still formed healthy habits. So, having those one-off meals, and sometimes the kids even look at that as like, hey, it's fun, or this is cool and different, so I think sometimes those are the fallback options.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a matter of having like the perfect Norman Rockwell spread out on the table every single night. And in terms of, I ate a whole bunch of stuff in high school, and I used to coach weightlifting in high school for a high school in DC, and when you would ask them what they ate, it was Pop-Tarts and just crazy stuff all the time. So yeah, I mean, kids eat whatever they will eat, and then you're trying to at least get a couple fruits and vegetables in every so often. And exactly like you said, we kind of get through the other side, and we're okay by it. So I love that, and I think that's a lot of really good options for food, and again, a lot of good things to keep in mind. Now, in terms of sort of the nighttime routine, okay, so you've finally gotten dinner on the table, things are kind of winding down. Has there been anything that's helped you as school is starting up to help yourself with the nighttime routine, and or to help your wife and kids with the nighttime routine?
Yeah, I think having a routine that's familiar has been pretty beneficial. But even then, I'll say like for any parents of young kids, if you've read like Berenstain Bears Nighttime, like the nighttime book, it's just the beginning of the book is like in the deep woods, and it's very quiet, but then all of the woodland creatures outside of the big tree house know what's coming. It's like the rumble and like the kids delaying this and procrastinating that. So even to a point, no matter how much of a routine we get, like there's very, very much something can easily be like a fly in the ointment, and like just send the whole thing teetering off kilter. Like like we have it so that like, okay, when the kids are done, then the youngest kids have already showered before dinner, so that they can go up and brush their teeth and wash their hands and then pick out the books they want to read. Well, then the older kids can clear their plates and then go shower themselves. And invariably, like, our twins will just start wrestling when they should be getting ready for the shower, or like, our youngest daughter is like brushing her teeth in the bathroom that somebody's supposed to be showering in instead of the other bathroom. So that's a long way to say I don't have all the answers.
I'm upset that it's not like the Sound of Music, that your kids aren't coming out and whistling.
Yeah, I need a whistle. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that kind of getting back to what we've talked about with like workouts and nutrition, like set the plan, set the intention, but understand that that plan and intention can very easily change, and that's okay. That's okay. Still make it through, as best you can. In terms of the nighttime routine, do you find it helpful to plan the next day as well too? Like kind of, you talked about it planning at the start of the week, but like every single night, do you find it helpful to kind of get the next day lined up?
I don't think that's something that we've done personally. I mean, like, our evenings tend to be pretty similar from one day to the next, unless there's like a very specific sport in season, right? Like fall, spring tends to be our busier one, because all like the four oldest kids all play lacrosse for the town that we live in, and so then they all have different practices at different times, at different parks, at different days of the week. So then that becomes more of like a balancing act, where maybe four of us are eating dinner while I'm or my wife is going to pick the other ones up from practice, and then when they get home. So that becomes a little bit more of like, we have to be more detailed. But during the fall, the activities aren't quite as much, or they're just more steady. So it's a little easier to plan consistently for those things. But there still might be the reminder of like, hey, remember tomorrow we have this thing going on. Or I try not to remind our kids like too far in advance, otherwise they'll just forget, and then freak out like, what, I didn't know we had that. I'm like, yeah, we had 4 conversations about this. But
you'll still have that conversation no matter what, no matter how many times you remind them, I'm sure. But no, exactly. I mean, I think that's a good point though. That's a good takeaway, which is like, you will know sort of the big picture, and then you just kind of drop that information bit by bit as the kids need to know it, again, day before or whatever it might be. So that definitely sounds like a good strategy overall. So any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll go to questions, see if we have any questions from anyone.
I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, again, we went a little bit over half an hour, and hopefully your kids haven't, destroyed the house while you're watching this. But hopefully you've taken away a lot of good tactics, things to test and try. I really, really liked the planning versus prepping conversation that we had about nutrition, because again, I think that nutrition is one of the more challenging things, with anyone's schedule, but especially a family schedule going back to school. So I really, really liked that sort of talk there. And again, tactic with the exercise, we have that free PDF, the movement snack PDF. It is in the video description. Also, you can find it at www.nerdfitness.com/movement snack. All one word. You can download it, print it out, or you can fill it out on your computer, but you can keep a running tally of the reps that you've gotten in for whatever exercises that you pick. So that should be a really helpful tool as things are going crazy and maybe you're not getting in that full workout, as it were. So, but yeah, if there's no other questions from everyone, Matt and I want to definitely thank you for joining us this afternoon for this IG Live. And I made a note to remind everyone watching, if you're a parent, to check your kid's lunchbox tomorrow. to make sure there's no bananas sitting in there for the weekend. I know I've been guilty of that in lunch boxes and the bottom of backpacks, so definitely make sure you do that. And yeah, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your Thursday. Take care.
See you.